Hello, welcome. I'm Claudia if you're new here, and if you're back, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you so much. Today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you lots of planty and space updates. I realized like a few videos ago, like 2 or 3 videos ago, I was doing something and I was like, I will for sure keep you updated. And then it occurred to me, I say that frequently and I don't always circle back to update you. And there's a particular plant that I'm thinking about that I do get questions on about often, like how is that plant doing? How is that plant doing? And so I thought I went back through a lot of my videos from this last year and I made a list. I don't want to say of all or most, but of a lot of things that where I said I would update you or keep you updated, and I haven't, and I am going to update you on those now. I hope that sounds good to you. I'm really excited to update you on a lot of these plants, the good, the bad, the still question marks, and in no particular order. Of course, I made a list that I'll be referencing on my phone just so that I can make sure to speak about all of the ones that I was able to locate when looking at previous videos. So in no particular order, let's get started. Okay, but speaking of updates, I want to show you some of my newest plants I just received from Lively Root. I want to start by mentioning their packaging because it's 10 out of 10. And you can imagine my excitement when I saw these on my front porch. Everything arrived super secure. There was no mess. The plants showed up looking fresh, full, lush. You wouldn't even know that these were packaged, and honestly that says a lot when you're ordering plants online. What I love about Lively Root is not only do they deliver these beautiful plants straight to your door, but they truly care about helping people keep their plants alive long term and not just pushing whatever's trendy for the season. And can we please take a moment to talk about this Monstera Thai constellation? She is stunning. I'm excited about all of these plants, but a few highlights are the rubber tree, the Ficus elastica. I'd also been mentioning I was looking for a piece for my coffee table, and what's better than a money tree in a sansevieria? And of course I couldn't pass up the bird of paradise. These indoor plants are some of their best sellers because they look good year round, and if you know me, you know that I love plants and my decor to go with every season, and I think these are just that. Of course, I'll be linking everything down below. These are part of Lively Root's fall and holiday collection, and they've just made such a difference in my space already. I am so happy with them. And thank you so much to Lively Root for sponsoring this portion of today's video. We are jumping right in and starting with the update I think, well, at least I am the most anxious about, even though it's the most recent, and this is my Tortum Florida Beauty hybrid. So the update is the newest leaf did unfurl. It looks stable. I am happy to report that the other 2 leaves are feeling a lot firmer than they were when I initially placed this in, when I was trying to just put it straight into pon. And I feel like, not for certain, but maybe there are, or at least like the start of some roots in there. So we have 2 leaves that are not looking their best, but we have 2 leaves that are obviously getting water and hydrated. So that is good news for me. This new growth point still looks very much well. So we will see. It might take a while and it may be like a smaller leaf or stunted growth or something, but those are all things that I am more than happy and willing to put up with, and you know, like that is all okay as long as the plant is okay. So this is what the top cut is looking like. This just came out of the stratum and it looks like tiny roots are, so this is one of the leaf cuttings, mid cuts. A tiny root has started. The leaf, I was never worried about these. The leaves always felt really good. I'm gonna have to readjust that because I can't put it back in there. I can't see any roots on the perlite, but again, the leaf has always looked and felt really nice and plump. So these are doing well, and then I will insert some B-roll on the wet sticks because there are some activated growth points and some roots starting to develop on those. I feel like I can exhale because I've been holding my breath for this plant ever since I chopped it and realized that the little the air layering had no roots or viable roots. So yeah, I wanted to get this out of the way so that we can exhale together. And let's move on to the next plant. Up next, we're gonna talk about my Alocasia Regal Shield's albo corms. If you remember, when I upsized her, we found 3 corms. One of them I traded for my Crystal Mag Luxe hybrid Anthurium, which I'm so happy that I did. And I did get an update on that corm, and it had very little variegation, like the first 2 leaves, and then it seems to have reverted all to green. So I have an update on the 2 that I kept. I still have them in here. They've been ready to be transferred into a more permanent situation. I just have not gotten to it. So I will show you what these are looking like. So this corm has the smallest leaves, had given me all white leaves until this newest one has a tiny bit of green. And then this other corm that's a little bigger actually started out giving me really beautiful color. And then the 3rd leaf less, and the 4th leaf has no variegation at all. I had no idea that Regal Shield's albo was so volatile or unstable. I thought that it was one of the more hardier plants. And actually, this does actually have quite a little bit of purple, but just not so much of the white, as you can see. And then this one is just all green. So I will probably keep waiting it out on this all white one, or mostly white one, and see if it decides to shoot out any more green, and then possibly wait for like its corms to see what those corms look like. And then this other bigger one, I probably will be potting her up soon. And I've been thinking about keeping the baby and letting go of my mama. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted to update you on these. And a bummer that, you know, the trade, like she ended up with one that reverted all green. Like, that's never fun. But I am glad that all 3 of them did sprout, so at least that's promising. And then maybe some of those babies will be variegated. Next, if you saw my most recent vlog, Plants, Pups, and Beyond, you may remember we saw this. I've been on a little bit of a journey with Monstera aurea. This is actually the 2nd top cut I took from her, and I ended up placing her in pond because I was just sick of all of the browning that I was getting. It took her a really, really long time to stabilize, and this is finally a new leaf that she's given me. It's still very much soft. It looks like it's gonna have really pretty color, so I'm excited to see it all burn in. Actually, I think she may have given me this leaf. I'm confused. Maybe she gave me this, or maybe this one was unfurling when I chopped it. I don't remember now. Anyway, so far the browning seems to have slowed down at least. I haven't gotten any more browning than the initial browning I got when I first chopped it. And she is loving life in pond. She actually needs an upsize, and we're gonna do that soon in a chores video coming up. I'm happy to see her fighting and pulling through, because I really thought, like, I'm just not, like, I just don't want to do this anymore. All the browning was making it so unenjoyable to care for her or to grow her, and she's looking pretty good. I will say that I feel like, and maybe it's just because it's taken her a minute to stabilize in here, but I feel like she was growing much faster when she was in the aroid substrate versus now she's growing much, much slower. But it could be that, you know, she was rooting and stuff. So I guess we'll see how that continues to go. But I'm really, really happy with this update. And I mean, yeah, I would love to have a beautiful, creamy, like fenestrated Monstera aurea if she would like me to have her as well. And speaking of Monstera, this is my Monstera albo. So these are the 2 propagations that I decided to keep for myself. And I potted them, I believe it's just, yeah, it's just tree fern perlite mix. and I am happy to report that she is doing very, very well. She is a little thirsty now, so I'm going to take her straight into the shower to give her a nice thorough rinse and a thorough drink. But both plants are growing really nicely. This is the newest leaf on one of the plants. This is the one before. How cute is that? And then on the other plant, where is it? Oh, this is the newest leaf. It's kind of crazy pointing all over the place, even though the light source should kind of help it all point in the same direction. But that's okay. As she continues to grow and I repot her and stuff, I can reposition her a little bit better. But I remember mentioning I was a little bit nervous about potting them together because last time I tried to make a bushy Monstera, they all just started to rot. But yeah, I'm really, really happy that she's pulling through and she's looking, I mean, she's looking a little bit all over the place, but I love her. Another plant I get asked about frequently is my Alocasia longiloba purple. And last you saw, I believe she was just, there was no leaves on her and we were trying to regrow her, and she was over on the grow rack rehabbing along actually with the baby one that I purchased. But we did find some corms. Happy to report both corms sprouted. I actually sold one on Instagram last week or 2 weeks ago, and I'm holding on to the other baby just to kind of see what it looks like. And I made a poll on Instagram asking if like they wanted them available now, and it was like straight 50-50. Some were saying wait till it purples, some were saying they wanted now, so I decided to let go of one now, and then the other one I'm gonna wait till it purples. But I'm happy to report that my mama is, you know, she's feeling herself again and looking gorgeous as always. I always feel like the color just does not translate how gorgeous it truly is. I don't have sign of new growth yet. I do feel like in general she's kind of a slower grower, but I don't mind. I mean, when the leaves are this gorgeous, like it doesn't, I don't care. You can have one leaf and I'm very, very happy with you. So she is looking a little bit wonky because I had her on the top shelf of my Milsbo wide and she kind of doesn't fit actually. So I need to move her spots. But yeah, so happy that she's making a wonderful comeback. I mean, she's so beautiful, and I have had my hiccups with her, like when she bloomed, or like this last time with the whole spider-mite damage, and you know, it just obviously I had to remove all of her leaves. But her comeback has always been just creme de la creme. I'm so happy with her and always feel so lucky to have her. So she's still in sternum, and I need to pot her up into pon is what I've had her in before, so I do need to do that soon. And since I'm here, I'm gonna show you the baby. So this is the baby that I purchased when this one bloomed, and when the mama bloomed, and I was concerned that I might lose her. Okay, so I will say I'm not entirely sure that they are the same plant. Like this is obviously TC, and honestly this one is the original mom is probably TC also. But I feel like, I don't know, some sort of mutation may have happened or something, or maybe I just need to wait until it matures a little bit more so that I could really see. But I feel like there are some differences, and of course one's bigger than the other, but like look how shiny and glossy my mama is, and this one really is only shiny when it very first unfurls, and then it gets like very muted and matte. I don't know, I feel like, yeah, I definitely need to wait for her to mature a little bit more so I can know for sure. But how cool that, I mean, they're very similar colors, just it's really the glossiness that's different. But yeah, they're both doing well, and I'm really happy, and they are both ready to be potted up into a more permanent situation, and very happy with their comeback. Need to stand up for this one. I've shown this one on Instagram actually quite a bit recently, but I don't think that I've shown it to you at all since I chopped, this is Philodendron splendid, so since I chopped the pole and placed it in pon. And I mean, I did suffer some damage on like the original 3 leaves that I kept. Like you can see even the color a little bit. But look at, I mean, this is the first leaf it gave me after the chop. Did not skip a beat at all. And then look at this leaf. I mean, is this unreal or what? Like, I really questioned, am I like, this is so big. I really question, like, with my underwatering ways and like just how much I can neglect my plants, am I gonna be a person that is able to grow such large, like such a large plant and such a large splendid leaf? And I am just so impressed. This just goes to show how resilient and easy this plant is, because again, you know me, and it survived my whole hiatus of like not feeling well and extra neglecting my plants. It really did amazing. Here is its new leaf, like full, you know, it's like coming out and like gonna unfurl soon. But this is impressive. I love this plant so much, and I am so happy to report that it's doing so well after that. Took a tiny break because we actually had a dog arriving for board and train, but I am back. So I want to do everything here in the room before we move on to plants that are maybe in other areas. And I want to briefly mention my Alocasia cuprea. So we talked about her recently in a recent video. I don't think I removed the leaf, but I did. There were 2 plants in here and I took one of them out, and I was mentioning, okay, I guess I'll start over. So my cuprea, I've had quite a journey with her. I think I've had her now for like 3 or 3.5 years. She was one of my first Alocasia, and I kept her in her original mix for a while. It wasn't going great, and she was attacked by spider mites, blah, blah, blah. After I rehabbed her, I moved her over to Pon, and she seemed to be having a comeback, but then not so much. And I actually, as I reflect on it, I don't think it, okay. Then she started to go downhill, and after over a year of trying in Pon and things weren't improving, I decided to move her over to an aroid mix. This is a tree fern based mix. And then she was doing better. And then now again, as of recent, she hasn't been doing that great again. And I've identified a couple of issues with her. One, she was for sure not getting enough light. So when she was making her comeback in Pon, she was over in my kitchen area and getting just a lot more light than she was getting on this top shelf of my console here. Yeah, so one, she wasn't getting enough light, and then 2, I think that she would be happy in either substrate. The issue was she wasn't getting enough light when she was in Pon. And then after I put her into this aroid mix, I don't think that I was doing a really good job at giving it enough water. So not even just, you know, I'm a chronic underwaterer, so for sure I was going until the substrate was completely dry, but then I wasn't actually thoroughly saturating or actually properly filling the reservoir. So I don't think that she was getting enough water and not enough light. So this is where we are today. But I am hopeful now. I've added a light, which I'm gonna update you on in a second. And yeah, I'm hopeful that she's gonna make a comeback. She does have a growth point that's getting ready there. So I look forward to seeing her new growth. I wrote cardio for one of my things to update you on. I don't think it's meant to be cardio. It's obviously supposed to be something else that my phone auto-corrected, but I don't know what that is. Just a couple more updates in this room. First, an unfortunate update, actually 2 unfortunate updates. Let's get those out of the way. One is my Anthurium pallidiflorum narrow. So I don't know if you remember, but basically it arrived in sphagnum moss. I kept it in sphagnum moss for a while because I was just afraid of messing it up. And when I moved it into Pon, it shocked and the roots started rotting. I tried 2 different attempts to rehab it. The first one was semi-successful, but then the plant started going downhill again really quickly. So then I tried again and I chopped it just completely back. I even chopped the chunk in multiple pieces. I moved it over to my grow rack. I think I had 1 in stratum and 1 in perlite, like the different chunks. And then I also had the top cut. And long story short, none of them made it, which I'm very, very sad about. And also just a little bit perplexed because my regular Anthurium pallidiflorum has been so easy. And even if I disturbed it so much to where the roots started to rot the first time when I first removed all the sphagnum moss and put it into pon, I don't understand what went wrong after that. Like once I rehabbed it and I brought it back into the space and then it started going downhill again, or then even now, this last attempt of chopping it in multiple pieces and it not coming back makes me really, really sad. So that's very unfortunate and I'm very, very bummed about that. Similarly, you may or may not remember my Philodendron patriciae. I got that thing as a tiny little tissue culture quite a while ago, and as I needed to upsize, I repotted it into one of those like self-watering straw situations, and then I noticed it was going downhill. So in another SOS video with you, I brought it out and realized that the soil that was on the root ball was just like so compacted and hydrophobic. It wasn't intaking any of the water from that fresh soil that I had added when I repotted it. So I also brought it out, I chopped it to propagate, and again, it did not make it. And I'm also very, very sad about that plant because I really loved it. I think it's beautiful. And I know that for a second, when I first got my pallidiflorum, I was like, oh, I don't think I want or need the patriciae. I do want and I do need. I feel like the price has hung on to that plant though. And yeah, I guess I'm just getting also a little bit picky. Like I want a plant that's healthy. I'm fine with a small plant, but ideally I don't want tissue culture. And I want it to not be in sphagnum moss. And yeah, just come in a nice substrate and a plant that's well taken care of. And I also don't want to pay, you know, $100, so someday, but that is a very sad update as well. Only 2 more updates in this room. We're gonna start with the Milsbo wide spider-mite situation, and I am happy to report that I've done multiple thorough checks on the plants, and it's been, I'll know exactly how many weeks since treatment, but they are spider-mite free, which tells me that I truly eradicated that infestation, which makes me so, so happy. Like, oh my gosh, that was just, it was becoming such a pain. And if you watched like that series of videos where everything was just coming to a head, I mean, I was even thinking about getting rid of my Milsbo wide cabinet because it was like, clearly, you know, they're hiding somewhere and I can't get rid of them. And even though I love the cabinet, this isn't worth it. So I'm so, so, so happy and relieved that that worked. With that said, I know that I shared my 21-day treatment with you that was every 3 days, the 3 different sprays that I did. I do want to say that even though initially there only seemed to be damage really on the Anthurium and my Alocasia loco, as the weeks went by, once I brought them back into the cabinet, all the plants are really needing a pretty hefty rehab at this point. I mean, you can see they don't look great. There's been no new growth on any of the plants really. Actually, my fried egg elbow may have had a new growth, one of the fried egg elbows. Actually, one of my fried egg elbows has had new growth, but you can see it doesn't look great. None of them look great, actually, honestly. And yeah, these are gonna take some time to rehab, but I'm still glad that I did it, and I'm glad that, I mean, I guess knowing what I know now, I would have just chopped all the leaves off instead of doing that 21-day treatment. Although I guess it could have been hiding somewhere else, you know, on the petioles or the stems or the chunks or whatever. But yeah, they need rehab, and for me, I feel strongly that it was the Safer's insecticidal soap that caused the damage, because it was pretty obvious after the very first treatment of the Safer's is when I started to notice significant damage on several of the plants that got most of the damage. Half good, half not so good, but the plants will come back. I'm not terribly worried about it. They will rehab. That's a great environment for them to rehab. And I've just been debating as to whether I want to bring in more plants in there now, or if if I still want to wait, but I'm happy to report that it is spider-mite free. The last update in this room is the console right behind me under the window. So last I left off when I did part 1 of this room refresh, I was questioning or like asked you how I should properly light that top shelf surface of the console, and I want to show you what I came up with and what I was able to do. So I actually got a hold of my contact over at Vago Garden, and I was able to get just the stand that I needed for one of the grow lights. So that's what I added over on the right hand side, and I really love, I love the lights. I truly do. I think that they're the best light for shelving that we can get, and then especially for the price point. I know the Barina is still a lot more affordable, but they're not that good or effective, right? These are really great and effective, and I think that they're just really great lights. So the stand makes it super easy you can also swivel the light on the stand, and you can raise the height of it or lower it. The stand is super sturdy, and you obviously can place plants on top of it. So I did that over on the right side, and that's lighting some Hoya and some Alocasia. And then over on the left hand side, I got one of Barina's new T1S lights. So if you've been here for a minute, you've seen when I first got Barina's first vertical light that I still have, and it's a decent light. This one is much more powerful and much sturdier, and I also like that it comes in the silver, even though I don't really have silver here, but it kind of blends in with the white. But yeah, the light is very sturdy, very powerful, and like truly it's probably too close to it, but for aesthetic reasons, that's where I have it. It's providing plenty of light that the rest of those plants need. Now I just need to figure out what I'm going to do, or like eventually hopefully I can get the track system for this other wall over here. But I'm happy to report that the console window situation is properly lit and getting the light that it needs. I almost forgot to update you on, dare I say, one of the most important ones, and it is my Hoya polynura. This is the OG. So I've been mentioning in the last several videos, so I guess this is as of recent, that I've been concerned about how much yellowing I was getting and all of that, and I'm still a little bit concerned. I was thinking about propagating some more, but I'm also noticing that she has new growth. I don't know that you can make that out, but she has quite a bit of new growth, like she's branching out on her own. And I think that certain vines are for sure compromised, but maybe like that's a root issue with those certain vines. But I decided I'm gonna stick it out because she is growing nice and healthy and looking really nice on several other vines. So yeah, I'm sticking through it, and I think that she's gonna be totally fine. I know I said we were done in this room, and these plants don't really live here, but I just brought them in because it's easier. So if you remember, there were various corms that I was trying to grow after my whole fit of being unwell and like losing some plants. And some of those corms were my Alocasia, dragon scale albo, and then I believe, well, for sure there was mellow, and there may have been a third one, but I can't even remember at this point what that was. Anyway, placed them all in this jar. They sprouted, and unfortunately, I feel bad saying that, but unfortunately only the mellow corms sprouted. It looks like I lost my dragon scale albo, unfortunately. I can still see the corms down there, so I guess I could bring it out and see what those are looking like. But yeah, my mellow sprouted, which I don't want. I've mentioned I've had a really hard time with mellow, and in comparison to the Maharani, I just prefer the Maharani. So I'll just, I'll see who wants these, but I feel I'll be really sad if I really did lose my dragon scale albo, because that's such a beautiful plant. But things happen. The next plant also lives in my grow cart over in the living room, and it is my polynura inner variegated. So if you remember, I think I was just doing like a normal chores video with you, and I was supposed to be upsizing her, and I found root mealies. So I chopped it all up and propagated, and oh my gosh, she's ready for a repot. I got low-key like PTSD just now for a second, thinking like, can you imagine it had some more root mealies? Anyway, so I chopped it all up and propagated, and then once the cuttings were ready, I placed them all together. I did actually, I think I sold some, and then I may have given one away, like a couple cuttings. But yeah, I wanted a bushy pot that I was able to make, and she's growing in so nicely. I mean, the color is really, really pretty. So this is a success. We're officially done in this room. We're gonna head over to my grow rack or my Vitsto shelf and go over the rest. Actually, I think there's one that's just in my kitchen. But anyway, I'll probably insert B-roll because it'll just be cleaner, I think. But let's start with all of the pole chops that I did earlier. Well, I guess not so earlier this year, maybe like sometime during summer. So we chopped Philodendron majestic, Monstera adansonii mint, Philodendron Florida beauty, and Philodendron Florida ghost. And I added all of those into the propagation box with my Philodendron splendid wet sticks. So a couple of things have sprouted, and it's actually funny that I'm now updating you on this because when I first saw them start to sprout and they looked like all white leaves, I was like, is this Philodendron Florida beauty? How weird that it's like coming in like full white leaves. But I actually think now, as I'm again speaking with you and updating, that it's the ghost. So several of those are starting to sprout. We have one majestic, a couple splendid, which I'm actually really shocked that not more of them have. And then some of the wet sticks look quite wrinkly, like they just didn't, I mean, like they're just not gonna make it, you know? And to my surprise, also a Monstera aurea has sprouted in there, which I don't know that I knew was in there. So that was an exciting surprise. I'm getting a little bummed and anxious that the adansonii mint hasn't sprouted. Like, I fear I lost that plant. Again, things happen. I also just wanted to note that I feel these wet sticks have taken a really long time to sprout. Like even the splendid, we chopped that back in June, I believe, and I feel like there should be more leaves even on the wet sticks that did sprout. So I don't, maybe I'm just being impatient, or I just feel like it's been an extraordinary long time, but I guess 3-ish months isn't that long. I don't know, but it seems slower than previous times when I've propagated wet sticks in the same propagation box setup. So wanted to update you on that. Something I almost forgot to mention is my Philodendron tortum Florida beauty hybrid. The base of it is also shooting up a new growth point. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. There's obviously a lot in the grow rack that I could be updating you on, but I am going to be shooting a graduates update soon where you're gonna see a lot of that. There's several of like the rehabs from the Milsbo wide, or different corms. My Watsonianas are in there and things like that. So I will show you those then. I won't bore you with that right now. But what I do want to show you is my Hoya Mathilde Splash, or lack thereof. If you remember, I ordered this from Etsy because I wanted a really silvery, and it looked like it was super splashy on the photo that they had listed, and then when I unboxed it, I was underwhelmed. I'm still very happy to have it, but all of the new growth is not really splashy, barely, if at all. So I am a little bit disappointed at that, but it is what it is. I think that I actually heard one of you said that you are seeing the super splashy ones at Home Depot, so I would love to go to Home Depot and check out and see if my local stores have any of them, although I feel like we never get anything good, but it's worth checking out. In that same shipment was the Hoya carrii with a C. Oh, actually, I think that that's what cardio meant. I think I wrote carrii and it auto-corrected. Anyway, this plant seems to be doing pretty good. I think it needs a trellis. It's kind of weaving its way all in that propagation box, but it's growing, and I was a little bit concerned about it at first. So I'm excited to see what that grows into. I do wonder if that's a Hoya that needs higher humidity. I feel like I don't see a lot of content on that Hoya, and I've had it in that box for, you know, since it arrived. So now I am a little bit concerned about transferring it out of there when the time comes, but I'm happy to see that she's happy, healthy, and growing. Another one I wanted to mention from the Vitso shelf that's over in rehab or quarantined or whatever is the dinner plate Hoya, latifolia. If you remember, I got that plant right around my birthday, and it arrived and just the substrate was awful, as it usually is, and I decided to just take it all off and repot, and it promptly dried up the tendril it was growing and was not looking well. I'm sure some of the roots rotted off, or like I damaged and it shocked, but it has bounced back since. Bounced back meaning the leaves are nice and firm now, but there's no new growth coming yet. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update on how she's doing and looking so far. She will probably live over there in that shelf for a minute, until at least until I start to see growth. I think this is the last plant I'm updating you on, and it's one that we did recently as well, and it is the Aglaonema question mark that we don't know what it is. If you recall, I just washed off all, like I sprayed with the water hose all its substrate off, like that really dense peat stuff, and I placed it straight into pond. And when I tell you, she perked up within an hour of adding, you know, placing her in pond and adding water, and she has been looking great since. I am starting to think that I may need more Aglaonema in my life. I only have this one in the, I think it's Manila's Pride, variegated. I'm not positive of the name. She's really little, but actually needs a repot. But yeah, I mean, if this is an indication of what Aglaonemas are like, I'm thinking I need more of them in my collection, because they are beautiful and I'm finding resilient and easygoing, and that's speaking my language. That is all the updates I have for you today. I'm sure I missed things. If there's anything that you want to know about that I didn't speak about, please drop it down in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer you as soon as possible. But yeah, this was good to kind of reflect and remind myself even of things that I said I would update you and didn't, and then just to kind of see where we are, kind of like how I feel that the wet sticks are taking forever, or the fact that my latifolia is actually firming up and hopefully on the route to recovery. And then obviously like my Philodendron Florida Tortum Beauty hybrid, like I can exhale that it's doing better. And I was also very eager to share with you the update on the Milsbo wide spider-mite situation and my console lighting, because those are things that I feel like were pretty pressing, and I definitely wanted to get you the information sooner rather than later on what was going on with that. So I hope you enjoyed this updates video. Don't forget, I'm gonna link Lively Root down below if you'd like to check them out and order some indoor plants for yourself. Thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me. I'm really excited to keep sharing more things with you, and I will see you soon. Bye.